the first agreement. Reverend Suzanne, Peace in the Word, the first agreement.
Thank you, Wendy. Linda or Mark, if you would just dim the lights for a moment, we'll move into a quiet time. I just invite you to breathe in and breathe out that breath of God. To move to that peaceful place. And as the choir led us in that beautiful song, breathe out doubt and fear. Just take that big breath and exhale, and out with it go doubt and fear. And then on the inhale, breathe in peace and joy and the wellness of God. And so continue for a few moments in the breathing out and the breathing in of the goodness of God right here, today, in this moment, in this very room, in you, the peace of God. Breathing in, breathing out. Into the quiet, the peace of God. So I invite you now back to this time and this place. Breathing in and breathing out that peace of God. Thank you, Linda, for the lights. And so oftentimes when I come out of a quiet time, I invite you to stretch or yawn or do whatever you need to do to bring you back to this moment. There's an Arab proverb that says this: one good word is enough warmth for a whole winter. One good word is enough warmth for a whole winter. And we're going to begin our studies today of Toltec wisdom and being impeccable with our word. I thought how perfect that was as we began this month of honoring world faiths, world religions, ways to look at things. And so this month we'll be studying Toltec wisdom, brought forth by Don Miguel Ruiz in his book, The Four Agreements. The first, of course, is being impeccable with your word. And we'll find out this week and in the coming weeks how the impeccable word does have a sense of warmth about it. When we say things that are kind and good, don't you just sort of feel warm inside as they come from you. Don Miguel Ruiz was born in a family of healers and raised in rural Mexico. His family anticipated that he would bring forth the Toltec wisdom and become a shaman like his father and grandfather. But he didn't. He chose a career in medicine and went on to become a medical doctor instead. But there was a near-death experience in the 1970s that changed his life. He fell asleep at the wheel of his car and careened into a concrete bank. And as he remembers the story, he saw himself lifted out of his body and rescue two of his companions who were in the car with him. And as he pulled them to safety, he was stunned by this experience, and he began a study of intense inquiry into the shaman traditions, into this deep wisdom, and he completed an apprenticeship with the shaman deep in the desert and became himself a Toltec wise man, a Nagul of the eagle feather. So he's dedicated his life then, Don Miguel, to bringing forth this ancient Toltec wisdom that we will unpack today as we explore the very first of his 4 agreements. But let's take a look. Let's unpack that very word, impeccable. In unity, we believe that impeccability means simply without sin. To be impeccable with our word means to say things that are kind, true, and necessary. Well, Toltec wisdom takes that idea and stretches it. Don Miguel Ruiz in the Toltec wisdom believes that anything that you and I say against ourselves is a sin. Everything that you and I do or say against ourselves is a sin. We're missing the mark. We're forgetting that we are a spark of the divine when we say something derogatory. You know the words that you use when you place your hand on your own hip and say, "Now, Suze, you know better than that," or "Shame on you, that's the very worst." Some of us grew up with that. But every time that we say or do or be anything less than the divine, we're missing the mark. We're forgetting who we are and what we came to do. So being impeccable is not only not going against ourselves, but not going against others. Impeccability means responsibility. It means no blaming, no judging. Just taking a look at what we've said or done and choosing to change. To step back and be the observer and say, "Oh wow, I said this, I really meant to say this. Dang, I'm going to change that." One of our studies has been about a book by Michael Singer called The Untethered Soul. I know some of you were in that class and maybe you've read it on your own. And in that book, Michael Singer says this, and he invites us into this idea of being the observer in our life, of stepping back from whatever we've just done or said and just taking an objective look. For instance, for me, it would be something like, "Oh, Suze, just look at you. There you are down there on earth, having a little temper tantrum. Ha, ha. This too shall pass. It's no big deal. You can always call them up, send them a text or email, make it better, and then go on about the business of being God's spark of divinity." We always have that opportunity. And then when we do that, our words lead to life-giving things. We want to be at a place in the impeccable word that we send out that everybody's name that we know is safe in our mouth. I have some people whose names, I don't know about you, but I have some people in my life whose names are not safe in my mouth. Because I sometimes say things that are derogatory about that gift of God known as Michelle or Harvey. And my sense is that probably you do too. So just the awareness of saying, I'm going to choose something differently. I'm going to honor that person in my life as whole, as that divine spark, just like me. And here's the good news. There's always good news. Here's the good news. That as soon as we decide to be impeccable with our word, as soon as we decide to do that, as soon as we turn toward home, home being God, and begin to honor ourselves and the words we say to ourselves, impeccability comes to us. The universe recognizes us as a player and says, this is a person who's really serious about saying good things to all the people in their life, to making a difference. The reason we like the prodigal son story so very much, I believe, is because we know that that prodigal son who was spending his father's money in a far country, and we're in a far country away from our essence when we talk to ourselves or anyone else on the planet in a less than loving way, we're operating in a far country. As soon as that son turned toward home, his father, as we turn toward our Father, impeccability becomes the gift we give. because we want to, because we've made a new decision about the words that come from our very mouths. So expect to see changes that happen when we speak warmly about people. We'll say one word that might warm their winter. And of course, I'm not talking about the winter outside. I'm talking about the winters in here that we experience, where just some kind of loving thing was said. Someone looked right into our face and said, you know, this too shall pass. You'll get over this. You'll move on. God is right there with you every moment. And things are going to turn out all right for you. It's okay. It's okay. You've warmed the winter of their soul, and there's no more important work on the planet than that. And we have the opportunity to do it. In our unity work, honoring these impeccable words from Don Miguel Ruiz. So, when we do that, we reframe our lives and everyone else's lives into the love and the spirit of truth. When we sweep out those doubts and fears that we sung about, and we sweep in honor and goodness and love and kindness, we use those words for personal transformation. Our lives change. And it just takes a minute. And it doesn't take a lot of effort. Opportunities happen all the time. Let me share a few with you from my experience just this week. Friday, I was shopping at our Ross. I call it our Ross because it's in our community and I know we shop at Ross. So I was putting an outfit together. So I had an armful of t-shirts and some shoes and things. And so I was trying to decide on a color. And there was a young man standing at the end of the women's section of shirts and things. There's a perfume counter. Now, here's the tease. The perfume is behind a glass thing, and you can't get in and you can't smell it. And this man said under his breath, I wish they wouldn't put it behind the glass. I can't get to it. And he was kind of murmuring, but I went over and upset his murmuring for a moment. And I said, excuse me, sir, I'd like your opinion. Well, who doesn't love to give their opinion on something? Especially a man giving his opinion to a woman. We still, that still happens a lot. So I said, I'm not quite sure which shirt I should choose. And he said, oh, definitely this is the one that matches. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And he stood up a little straighter. He was still at his perfume counter. And I said, I know how it is when you buy perfume. I said, I tell you, here's what you do. So it was, like helpsies and being that wonderful word to be helpful. I call them random acts of coaching. There's random acts of kindness. But in life, truly, there are random acts of coaching. I reframed it for myself, and I like that a whole lot. So I am now a RAC. I'm a random act coach. So just watch out, because I will be helpful whether you ask for it or not. So I'm there, and I said, I tell you what you do. You go to a store that has a perfume counter, and you find a scent that you like, and then you come back and you buy it here, because it'll cost you less. Oh, he said, what a great idea. Now, we will probably, chances are, never meet on the planet again, unless God decides to be the cosmic teaser, which he is from time to time, and plant us there whenever I'm putting together an outfit and he needs a perfume for a new girlfriend. I don't know how this is going to play out. But the idea of just loving someone and helping them with a teeny tiny thing. He was right about the outfit, and I hope he went to the department store and tried on some perfumes and brought it back. But that's how this idea works. That's how this idea works. Because here's what I know, and here's what Don Miguel Ruiz says that is so important as we move through our life. These words, from being impeccable with your word. Our words, he says, are magic. They are the most powerful gift we have as humans. How many of you believe that? Our words are magic. And they are the most powerful gift you have as a human. So it's up to us to choose them carefully, to use them carefully in the name and in the nature of God, that we say loving things. That the first thing you say upon noticing your face in the mirror in the morning is, in Ron's case, "Good morning, handsome. How are you?" Something like that. Or, "You are looking so cute today. And did those wrinkles disappear overnight?" Yes. It's important. It's because it sets the tone of our day. And then once you've re-identified yourself again, you may have forgotten in your sleep if you had a scary dream, then you move on from there. The spark of divinity that you came to be. There's another story. This happened just yesterday. Just little things. Just little things. How many of you like to give and receive compliments? Just, you're just out there and you just say, "Oh, excuse me," or "Gosh, that looks good on you," or "That's a perfect color." Those are random acts of coaching, caring, and kindness. Because what you're coaching is that spark of divinity. Sometimes we forget. The world doesn't teach us too much that that's who we are. So Grafton Hills College Fire Department had a car wash yesterday. Anybody know about it or hear about it in the news? It was at that shopping center that has the Wasaba Grill and the yogurt shop. Anyway, so they were there. So I thought, well, what the heck? My car's dirty. I need to scoot over there. So I did. And they had their little baseball caps on, and they had their blue T-shirts, and some of them were wearing the big boots and all that stuff. And some people had big pickups there and everything. So I'm there, and the young man comes and says, very nice. Martinez was on he had a little badge on and everything. I said, "So how much is the car wash?" And he said, "Well, ma'am, it's just a donation." And God said, "Give him $20. I went, "What?" God said, "Yeah, give him $20. So, I did, and his eyes get really big, and he says, "Well, thank you, ma'am. I'm telling you, I got a car wash you would not believe. Take a look at my car. It is fabulous. It didn't look that good when I got it 3 years ago. But the idea caught on, because here's what happened. He went back, put it in the little cash thing. The lady was handing the cash. Eyes got big. She waves. She smiles. Go on through. And so most of the cars had one guy on one side and one guy on the other side drawing. Not my car. I had 6 cadets working on my car. But here's the thought. After they did that, and these are strapping young college guys, just adorable, I said, this is the best car wash I have ever had. I said, firemen are important to me. We have our own Craig Williams, as we know, who is a fireman, and Priscilla remembers Jerry Thomas, the man who used to lead our singing, was a retired fireman. So firemen are just special. And so I said, so I'm telling everyone to come. I said, I've got a few more stops, but I'm going to personally tell people to come and have their car washed here, because you're the best. All of them, big grin, stood, if they possibly could. They're all pretty big, tall, and handsome, a few inches taller. And it's more than making somebody's day. It's looking them in the eyes and saying, "I know who you are, and I appreciate it. I know what you do. I know that your studying is hard. I know that by the time you get all that gear on and you pack that big hose, I quite frankly don't know how you get up the ladder." I didn't tell them that this was all in their future. But still, it's that idea of calling forth in you. And you have to do it in this order, because you can't call it forth from anyone else until you call that divine forth in you, because then you have something to work with. Then you know how it feels to truly love one another and to be in peace in the world. Peace in your world. Peace in our world. We're going to come and light candles. You're going to write prayers in a few moments. But the first peace altar that you need to sanctify is this one. So today, as you do your work with the impeccable word, sweep out the doubt and fear that may be there. You're in God's world. God loves you. All is well. All is well. So here's the process that we're going to move through right now. We've given you in your bulletin today a prayer slip. And on that prayer slip is room for names, workplaces, situations, people, anything that comes to mind that needs a blessing of peace. Your next door neighbor's dog can go on that list. Whatever you feel in your heart you would like to pray peace for. This is the peace altar. It's quiet. They're in your bulletin. Yeah. And there are a few out there. Carlos, I think there are a few in the office. If you open your bulletin, you should have a prayer slip. Would you do that? And then there's a pencil in front of you. And after you've written those down, if you'll bring them up and put them on the altar, and choose for yourself a candle. We won't dismiss you in any order because it will depend upon how many names you have, whether or not you choose to come up and light a peace candle. And when you do, this peace candle is not for anyone else. This peace candle is for your intent this week to be impeccable with your word, that every person is greeted with love and kindness, and that if it's not kind, true, or necessary, it does not come out of your mouth. Got it? Okay. Now, for some of you, I can see your masters of this is going to be easy. For some of you, you'll find out how little you have to say, because maybe it's been mostly gossip, I don't know. But I'm going to light my candle of intent, that whatever I say and do and believe, my whole being is impeccable with my word of love, of kindness, of recognizing the divine in me, so I can recognize the divine in you more clearly. I already do, but I want to get better at it. Thank you, Ron. Ron's going to gift us with just a little background music. So as you're filling out that prayer slip, when you've added the names of people, places, and things, I invite you to come and put it on the altar and light your candle of intention. This is always an invitation, and so if you'd like to just sit back and think about this, we're going to invite you and any friends to come and do this again with us on Thursday. Thursday at 7 p.m. is our World Day of Healing prayer service. So we'll light candles, we'll walk the labyrinth, we'll sing songs, we'll do a Sufi dance. We'll remember with love in our hearts how the world can be. And yes, for some it is a remembrance of 9/11. Thursday is September 11th. But we know in unity that we've moved forward in our minds and in our hearts and in our lives. And we're learning more deeply and fully to embrace the ideas of healing, of wholeness, of universal love and forgiveness. So now, Mark, if you'll just dim the lights a little so we can have a sacred space, I invite you to come forward with your prayer slips. Come forward and light the light of intention, being impeccable with your word. Remember, the candle is for you. On Thursday evening, you can come and light the candle for people, places, and things. But for today, this is for you. your intention of being impeccable, bringing forth that divine Our prayer team will be praying over your prayers, holding them in sacred thought, and sending them on to silent unity. You can come on this side and light candles as well. Lydia, if you want to come around here, go a little faster. There are candles you can light from. There you go. Yeah, just put your prayers right there. There you go. Impeccable, kind, true, and necessary things being said into the world. Grace from your heart. Intention is everything. You've turned toward home. And so the idea of impeccability is already planted in your heart. The goodness of God coming through your words, your acts, your deeds.
Big memory card. 4 minutes.
We're blessed to have our youth here with us today. Their lessons are always in concert with what we teach here. So they know that by lighting their candle, they are setting their intention to say good things